this was a month of fairy books. Haha. Hi guys, welcome to my January wrap-up. I read 5 books in January and I did not hit my goal of finishing most, like 96% of the books I had on my January TBR did not get done. Luckily, thank God for husbands, my husband had space in his luggage, so I got to bring all my books from Florida back into Washington, and I was so happy, so I didn't have to binge all of them like crazy. And naturally, of course, this video is sponsored by Aroma Art, my candle brand that's launching in 15 days. It is such a pleasure to finally be able to present this to you guys. I've been working on this for so long. It was literally birthed out of a very dark time in my life. I created Aroma Art when I was extremely chronically ill. Illness, I had a reaction to the COVID-19 vaccine and it gave me dysautonomia. It completely changed my life. At one point I didn't think I was gonna make it, and I started thinking a lot about with my life and what I want to do with it and my illness. And luckily I have been getting better, but I still fight with my illness every single day. It is so hard some days. And this was what was born out of it. I created Aroma Art for a light in my darkness. During that time, I made this. I thought of this. I created this. The candle itself is a metaphor. My life was very dark and there really wasn't a lot to make me happy in that season. So I came up with Aroma Art. All the aroma and all the arts are memories that kept me going when I really just wanted to give up. A lot of the names of the candles are my reasons to keep fighting. And they were really hard to make, and there were things I missed, like I can't have coffee anymore. I created Coffee K. I didn't know when I was gonna be able to travel again because I could barely walk. I made Dahlia petals. I could barely eat, and I missed my dad so much. I created our cereal scent because the scent of cereal and having conversations with my dad were so monumental for my childhood. There's something about having a passion project that ignites your soul, and that's what Aroma Art is for me. It was a setting for my senses. It was something that I could fully devote to without having to compromise my health. And it's one of the reasons I made it eco-friendly and conscious. I wanted 100% coconut soy wax because I didn't want to have to deal with paraffin blends or anything that could potentially react to. I wanted it to be phthalate-free fragrance, so I don't have to think about what am I inhaling that has toxins or potentially harmful ingredients. I wanted to be minimalistic black with white because I wanted it to show the light in my darkness. I wanted a wooden crackling wick to project a cozy, happy atmosphere. One where I wasn't sick. One where I could experience all of these scents in real life. Welcome to Aroma Art, a setting for your senses. Okay, now that we're done with all that sad stuff, let's get back into the wrap-up. This month, we did indeed read Stolen Heir by Holly Black. So you guys know the Cruel Prince trilogy, like, was one of my favorite books I read in 2022. Well, not Cruel Prince itself, but I think it's either Wicketed King or Queen of Air Nothing is one of my favorite books I read last year. And I had to read Stolen Heir as soon as it released into the air. You know what, that's really bad. That's so cringe. I don't know if I'm gonna include that, but whatever. I also read How the King of Elfenheim Learned to Hate Stories last year as well, and this one was really fun. We got more of Cardian's perspective, and I feel like that was one of the big things lacking from the Folk of Air series. We didn't have enough Cardian. We needed more Cardian airtime and more Jude and Cardian together moments. Not just like saving the world, saving Elfenham, running around trying to figure out life. No, we needed more of them together and more of them apart, just like what their lives are like. But The Stolen Heir is actually a spin-off series from the point of view of Oak and Ren. So we met Ren in the Folk of Air series, and honestly I did not remember her story that much. I just knew she was like in a cage, or not in a cage, she had like a bridle, like the things you use to bridle a horse so that they obey you. So she had a bridle, and I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but she was pretty much like this child queen. And this is her story. So this is not told through the point of view of Oak, which I thought it was going to be. No, this is Ren's story. This is Ren's POV, and her life is hard. She is living on the streets. She is living in a feral type state, survival state. They compare her to being like a solitary fairy because that's the closest box they could potentially put her in, even though like her life is nothing like that. She has that dual POV of a life of mortal and fae, because she has like a whole tragic childhood. I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but it was good. I loved Ren's backstory. I think it was complex, it was different, it was new, and I love that she was lacking social skills because of her background. Like there are certain things that she could do in the fae and human world that was seemed odd because she wasn't in a normal state for all of her childhood. So she doesn't react correctly to things, well, not correctly, like what a relative term, but like she doesn't have that foundational knowledge of safety to react as if she was in a safe environment, which I thought was amazing. I think it touched on such good childhood trauma, and Oak is just like a man now. I think that's, I had to reconcile with that because he is literally a man in this book, and in the Cruel Prince he's like 7 or like 6, or he's a kid, he's like a kid. And in this, he's like an adult, and he has like, oh, I don't want to spoil it for you guys. Whew. There's a lot of parts of Stolen Heir that made sense for the Cruel Prince. I'm like, I wish I knew this in the Cruel Prince type settings. So I gave it 4 stars. I expected that of Holly Black because Cruel Prince was 4 stars as well. But it's like a scene setting type 4 stars, and don't get me wrong, this is scene setting, both action and like deep storytelling and diverse and like complex characters, but it always pops off in the 2nd and the 3rd book. So this is a duology, hopefully it gets a trilogy, because you guys know me in my series, I like books to be longer than 3 books, minimum 3. Longer than 3 makes me happy. I'm a series gal, but like Oak and Ren, they have high core potential, like high core, like maybe they can step into the shoes of Jude and Cardian, but we shall see, we don't know. But I think book 2 is gonna pop off and it's gonna be 5 stars. That's my prediction. It's a 5-star prediction for me. I thought this one potentially had the chance to be 5 stars, but through writing style and scenery, this is indeed a 4-star book. And it was a good 4 stars. Like, I feel like it was balanced well. I feel like I couldn't have rewritten this book to be better. So I liked it. Solid 4 stars, probably like 4.5-ish. Yeah. And then next on the list, you guys know I had to do it. Oh my gosh. This was a month of fairy books. Haha. Okay. So I also had to do Chain of Gold. I had to reread the Last Hours trilogy. So Chain of Thorns comes out in like tomorrow for me. At the time of me recording this video, Chain of Thorns is releasing tomorrow. I have all of my copies coming ready to get to my house. So I had to reread Chain of Gold and Chain of Iron to be in the perfect scene setting to accept and absorb and be like on the right timeline to understand what is gonna happen in Chain of Thorns. It's supposed to be like 800 pages, it's supposed to pop off, and I'm just like, I am emotionally prepared, I'm ready. I cleared my schedule a little bit, but not like completely, because I had to take Pinky to get his hair done and I gotta get blood work, but those were the only 2 things I could not take off my schedule. Other than that, I am binging, I am vlogging, do not disturb me, do not DM me. Well, you can DM me, I might just not reply, honestly. I wish I could do like this thing, like cannot reply to message, currently reading Chain of Thorns. Get back to you after the next business day, after reading Chain of Thorns. Maybe, because I might be in a book hanger. Something like that, something really funky and cute like that, but anyway, I read those 2 books. It's still 5 stars for me. It's still 5 stars for me. And they're both still 5 stars for me. And then the other 2 books I read this month were Girl in the Tower and The Winter of the Witch, or Witch of the Winterland. So these are both by Catherine Arden. She wrote Baron the Nightingale. These are book 2 and book 3 that I read in January, and they were good. So let's start with Girl in the Tower. Girl in the Tower was a 4-star. I feel like it really popped off from Baron the Nightingale. I think it got way better. It was less scene setting, less atmospheric, but it was still that beautiful like flow writing, and it reads like a grim fairy tale, and it has like these twilighty essence at it. Like when I was reading the book, the interaction with our main love interest just gave me twilighty vibes, and it wasn't like full-on Twilight obviously, but it just gave me that reminiscent feeling, and it was like a whiff of the feeling. It wasn't like the full-blown feeling, but I really enjoyed that part of the book. I wish it was more romance. Heck, I wish this author wrote more romance. Her writing is so beautiful. It's so atmospheric but flowy, and like, it's gorgeous. It reminds me of an adult fairy tale. So it's grim, it deals with hard topics, and I think these are all adult novels. Baron the Nightingale, Girl in the Tower, and The Winter Witch, but lovely. I adored it. I give the whole trilogy 4 stars overall. All 3 of the books I also give 4 stars. But Girl in the Tower, I feel like the story just got better. And then The Winter Witch, or The Witch in the Winter, whatever it's called, also amazing. I feel like I wasn't in the right place to accept the story, but the story was epic. Everything popped off in the story. We had wars, death, sacrifice, resurrection. It was everything I wanted and more. And more. It's a, I think this is a Russian folklore retelling, or it's based off of Russian folklore. So I really enjoyed it. I went into it blind. I say if you're doing anything Baron the Nightingale, do it blind. That's how I was told to go into the books, and that's how I suggest for everyone else to go into the books. Go into them blind. All you need to know, and which is all that I knew going into it, was this is a Russian folklore type retelling type situation. It has some romance, and it's extremely atmospheric. This is the best book to read during winter storm. Note, right now where I live, it is like dropping into the 20s. It is so cold. Little fuzzy boy is wrapped in a heating blanket, and I have the heater on full blast, but since I don't have central heating, some parts are really warm and some parts are frigidly cold. This, i.e. the sweater, which I actually really love this sweater. I think this is probably one of my favorite things I got from Gymshark. But anyway, 4-star for Winter Witch, 4-star for Girl in the Tower, and Winter Witch is better than all of the books all put together, and it just popped off. Popped off. Those are all the books I read this year. For my first month of January, I think we're starting off strong. I have mostly 5-star rereads, which is great. Then we also have the beginning of a duology that I'm really excited for, that I also gave 4 stars, which is also great. And we completed a trilogy, the Baron the Nightingale trilogy, and I gave it 4 stars overall, which is phenomenal because usually with serious books they don't, you know, stand up to the time and keep being good. But I knew this book was going to be good in a way because like all y'all told me Baron the Nightingale was amazing, and then when I was at the bookstore buying this book in the Keys, the bookstore person told me it was amazing too. So I think if my heart was in a better place to receive something that wasn't dominantly romance, I would probably give these books 5 stars, because everything outside of that was perfection. I just wanted more romance, so I deducted a point because I didn't get that itch scratched. But like, these are Monique reviews. This isn't like literary analysis. Trust me on that. I'm just here for fun and vibes. Like, I am not analyzing anything that sounds like schoolwork, which is what we're not gonna do. Also, guys, I got a reading journal. We're gonna do a reading journal this year. I'm excited. We'll see how this works out because I am just very much so, I can draw, but I recently learned in the past 2 years, and I don't want to draw every day to update this journal, so we're doing the stickers. Sticker, do, do, do. Anyway, did you guys complete your January TBR? I think I almost never complete my TBRs. If a month comes by that I complete a TBR, it'll be like a celebration. I hope you guys started the new year alright. Happy reading. I'm wishing you guys 5-star reads for the year. At least 10 of them.